are the group members: Casey Ann Emeterio, Victor Angelo Castro, Lester Franco, Aaron John De Vera, Jan Anthony Tabajen, Reyna Lindul Dulao, and Aaron Bravo.
Good day everyone! Ngayon, pag-uusapan naman natin ang hydrogen power plant. So ano nga ba ang hydrogen power plant? Ang hydrogen power plant ay isang modern concept ng power generation kung saan ginagamit ang hydrogen para makagawa ng electricity. Unlike traditional power plant na gumagamit ng coal or diesel, dito malinis na fuel ang ginagamit. So, paano nga ba siya naiiba? Instead of burning fuel, gumagamit ng hydrogen fuel cell. So, sa process na ito, ang hydrogen ay nagre-react chemically para makagawa ng electricity. So, ang pinaka-importanting advantage nito ay environmentally friendly siya, walang harmful emissions, and ang byproduct niya ay tubig lang, hindi usok. So, kaya sinasabi na ang hydrogen power plant ay isa sa mga future energy sources, lalo na habang nagta-transition tayo sa renewable energy. So, dumako naman tayo sa working principle ng hydrogen power plant. So, step 1, may mga storage tanks kung saan nakastore ang hydrogen gas. Step 2, ang hydrogen ay ipinapasok sa fuel cells kasabay ng oxygen na galing sa hangin. Step 3, inside a fuel cell, nangyayari ang tinatawag na electrochemical reaction. Dito, ang hydrogen ay nahahati into electrons and protons. Ang electrons ay dumadaan sa external circuit. Ito ang nagpo-produce ng electricity, while ang proton naman ay dumadaan sa electrolyte. Step 4. Sa dulo, nagre-react ulit ang hydrogen at oxygen. At ang result nito ay water or H2O at heat. So in short, hydrogen plus oxygen into electricity plus water. Step 5. Yung generated electricity ay pwedeng diretsong gamitin or store sa batteries. Then, i-distribute ito sa power grid. So, parang battery lang siya, pero tuloy-tuloy ang production basta may supply ng hydrogen. So, let's add a bit of trivia about hydrogen or hydrogen power plant. So, first is hydrogen is everywhere. Ang hydrogen ang pinaka-abundant na element sa buong universe. Ibig sabihin, halos lahat ng stars, even the sun, is composed mostly of hydrogen. Pero kahit ganito karami ang hydrogen, hindi siya madaling gamitin dito sa Earth. Why? Kasi kadalasan, nakakombine siya sa other elements. Like for example, water, H2O. So, kaya para magamit natin siya, kailangan pa siyang i-separate gamit ang processes. For example, like electrolysis, na nangangailangan din ng energy. So, interesting siya kasi abundant siya, pero kailangan pa rin ng effort para ma-utilize. Number 2, trivia number 2. Ginagamit ang hydrogen sa rockets. So, fun fact, ang hydrogen ay ginagamit bilang fuel sa space rockets. For example, ang NASA, gumagamit ng liquid hydrogen dahil dito ay may very high energy to weight ratio. So, ibig sabihin, kahit magaan siya, sobrang lakas ng energy na kaya niyang i-produce. perfect for launching rockets into space. Same concept din ang ginagamit sa hydrogen fuel cell. Pero instead of combustion tulad ng nasa rockets, controlled electrochemical reaction ang nangyayari para makagawa ng electricity safely. So, from space technology hanggang power plants, ginagamit ang hydrogen dahil efficiency siya.
Now let's talk about the parts and functions of a battery. A battery has mainly three important components: the electrolyte, the anode, and the cathode. First, the electrolyte. The electrolyte is a chemical substance that conducts electricity by forming ions when it dissolves and melts. Instead of electrons moving through metal wires, ions move inside the battery through this electrolyte. Example of electrolyte includes ammonium chloride, zinc chloride, potassium hydroxide, and sulfuric acid. Next is the anode. The anode is the negative electrode of a battery. During the chemical reaction, the anode releases electrons into the electrical circuit or the external circuit. Because it loses electrons, the anode undergoes oxidation. Common materials used for anodes include zinc, lithium, or lead. Finally, we have the cathode. The cathode is the positive electrode. Unlike the anode, the cathode accepts electrons coming from the external circuit. This process is called reduction. Materials often use a cathode including manganese dioxide, carbon, lead dioxide, or copper. Now let's look inside a typical dry cell battery. At the center we have the carbon rod, which acts as the positive electrode. Surrounding the carbon rod is the manganese dioxide, which helps in the chemical reaction that accepts electrons. Next is the electrolyte, which in this battery is usually a moist paste of ammonium chloride rather. This paste allows ions to move between the electrons. The outer container of the battery is made out of zinc, which acts as the negative electrode at the top of the metal cap, which forms the positive terminal, while the bottom metal part is the negative terminal of the battery. So structurally, the battery is designed so that the chemical material are carefully arranged to control the flow of electrons. Positive terminal on the top and negative terminal at the bottom. Now let's see what actually happens when a battery powers a device. Inside the battery, chemical reactions occur at both electrodes. At the anode, the zinc reacts with the electrolyte and releases electrons. These extra electrons want to move away because electrons repel each other. But inside the battery, a separator prevents the electrons from directly reaching the cathode. So the electrons take another path. They travel through the external circuit, such as the wire connected to a flashlight, to a phone, or a radio. As the electrons flow through the circuit, they provide electrical energy, device, and after traveling through the circuit, the electrons finally reach the cathode, where another chemical reaction accepts those electrons. At the same time, ion moves through the electrolyte inside the battery to balance the charge. Cut doon na. This continuous movement of electrons outside the battery and ions inside the battery is what produces electrical current. Now let's move to the diagram showing the diagram of a battery. Imagine a tiny universe inside a battery, where invisible particles are constantly on the move, creating the electricity we use every day. At the heart of this system, we have these two sides, the anode on the left and the cathode on the right, both submerged in an electrolyte solution. Now here's where the magic begins. At the anode, chemical reactions releases electrons. These electrons do not just stay out, they travel through the external wire. As they flow, they power something useful like a light bulb. This movement is what we call electron flow, and it's the very definition of electric current. Meanwhile, Inside the battery, positive ions move through the electrolyte. They pass across a semi-permeable barrier which allows ions to move but keeps the two sides from directly mixing. So, while electrons take the outside path, ions balance things on the inside. Together, this synchronized motion keeps the system stable and the energy flowing. It's a beautifully coordinated dance of tiny particles moving with purpose, lighting up our world one electron at a time.
So, sa diagram na nakikita natin, ipinapakita ang fuel cell stack na siyang puso ng system. Dito nangyayari ang proseso ng pag-generate ng electricity. May dalawang main parts ito, ang anode at cathode. At sa gitna ay ang tinatawag na proton exchange membrane. So, sa una, dun sa may anode side, pinapasok ang hydrogen gas o H2 sa tulong ng catalyst o nahati ang hydrogen molecules into dalawang parts, which is protons and electrons. Yung protons ay dumadaan sa membrane papunta sa cathode habang yung electrons naman ay hindi makadaan doon. Dahil hindi makadaan ang electrons sa membrane, napipilitan silang dumaan sa external circuit. At dito nangyayari ang importante habang dumadaloy ang electrons sa circuit. Nagkakaroon ng electricity na pwede natin gamitin para magpailaw or magpaandar ng mga devices. Pagdating naman sa cathode side, pumapasok ang oxygen mula sa hangin. Dito nagsasama-sama ang oxygen, protons, at electrons. At nagiging tubig o H2O. Kaya ang output ng system ay electricity, water vapor, at konting heat. Mapapansin din sa diagram na may hydrogen and recycling. Ibig sabihin, hindi lahat ng hydrogen ay nagagamit agad. Kaya yung sobras ay binabalik sa system para mas efficient ang operation. So, sa kabuuan, ang hydrogen power plant ay isang malinis at efficient na paraan na mag-produce ng kuryente. So, wala nga itong harmful emissions, kaya malaking tulong ito sa environment. So, dahil ito, isa ito sa mga tinitingnan future solutions para sa sustainable energy. Lalo na habang lumalaki ang demand sa kuryente at kailangan nating bawasan ng paggamit ng fossil fuels. So, ang diagram naman nito ay nagpapakita kung paano gumagana isang fuel cell vehicle gamit ang hydrogen bilang source of energy. So, sa halip na gasolina, hydrogen ang ginagamit para makagawa ng kuryente na siya nagpapaandar sa sasakyan. Masimula ng proseso ay pinapasok ang hydrogen gas sa fuel cell sa pamamagitan ng flow plate. Pagdating nito sa anode, hinahati ang hydrogen molecules into protons at electrons sa tulong ng catalyst. Ito ang unang importanteng step dahil dito nagsisimula ang production ng electricity. Pagkatapos, yung protons ay dumadaan sa tinatawag na PEM o polymer electrolyte membrane. Ang membrane na ito ay special dahil pinapayagan lang itong makadaan ang protons pero hindi ang electrons. So, ngayon, dahil hindi makadaan ang electrons sa membrane, mapipilitan silang dumaan sa external circuit. So, habang dumadaloy ang electrons sa circuit, nag-generate ito ng electricity na ginagamit para paandarin ng motor ng sasakyan. Halimbawa, para umilaw ang bombilya sa diagram o paandarin ang kotse mismo. So, sa kabilang side naman, pumapasok ang oxygen mula sa hangin papunta sa cathode. Dito nagsasama-sama ang oxygen, protons, at electrons. Ang result ng reaction nito ay tubig or H2O at konting heat. Ibig sabihin, ang output ng fuel cell vehicle ay electricity para sa movement ng sasakyan at water vapor lang bilang exhaust. Kaya ito ay environment friendly kumpara sa traditional na sasakyan na naglalabas ng usok. So, sa kabuuan, ang fuel cell vehicle ay isang malinis at efficient na technology. Ginagamit nito ang simple chemical reaction ng hydrogen at oxygen para makagawa ng kuryente ng walang polusyon. Dahil dito, isa ito sa mga promising na solutions para sa future ng transportation, lalo na kung gusto nating mabawasan ang paggamit ng fossil fuels.
Good day everyone! To give you a clear idea of how a hydrogen fuel cells work in a power plant, just imagine it's a special kind of battery that never runs down or need recharging. Basta't tuloy-tuloy ang supply natin ng fuel, it will keep producing power. The basic structure consists of two electrodes, the anode or negative side and the cathode or positive side. Itong dalawang ito are sandwiched around a material called electrolyte. In this process, the hydrogen fuel is fed to anode side while ordinary air or oxygen is supplied to the cathode. Now, here is where the magic of chemistry happens. Once the hydrogen reaches the anode, there is a catalyst that facilitates a reaction to separate the hydrogen molecules into protons and electrons. And here is the catch. Magkaiba ang dinadaanan nila para makarating sa kabilang side. You can see the electron are actually blocked by the electrolyte kaya they are forced to travel through an external circuit. Itong flow of electrons na ito, this is exactly what generate the electricity that power our homes. While that is happening, the protons migrate directly through the electrolyte to reach the cathode. Once they meet up again at the cathode side, the protons and electrons unite with oxygen from the air. Ang ending ng reaction na ito, instead of smoke or harmful emission, the only byproducts are water and heat. It is incredibly clean and efficient because we are doing a direct conversion from chemical energy to electrical energy without burning any fuels. So basically, it's power generation without the pollution. The working principles summary of hydrogen fuel cells on the first part, guys, imagine a power source na parang battery pero hindi kailangang i-charge. In a hydrogen fuel cell, we have two sides, the anode or negative side and cathode or positive side. Ang fuel natin, which is hydrogen, enter the anode while ordinary oxygen from the air enter the cathode. Ito ang basic setup natin. On the second part, once the hydrogen hits the anode, mayroong platinum catalyst doon. Ang trabaho nito is to split the hydrogen into two parts, proton and electrons. This is the most critical part. Kailangan nating paghiwalayin ang dalawa para makagawa ng energy. On the third part, na mayroong membrane sa gitna called the polymer electrolyte membrane, para siyang kitchen plastic wrap na pinapadaan lang ang positive proton pero binablock ang electrons. Dahil block ang electrons, they are forced to travel through a wire. Itong flow of electrons sa wire, yan na mismo ang electricity na nagpapagana sa atin. And the last part, finally, magre-reunion silang lahat sa cathode side kasama ang oxygen. Because of this reaction, ang tanging lumalabas sa system ay water and heat. No smoke, no pollution, that's 100% clean energy. And that's how a hydrogen fuel cells work.
Now let's examine the chemistry or the chemical reaction that undergoes in zinc-carbon battery. So in zinc-carbon battery, we have the three major components, the anode, the cathode, and the electrolyte. So in the part of the anode, we have the zinc, the cathode as the manganese dioxide, and the electrolyte as the ammonium chloride. So these three major components are essential in order for us to describe the overall reaction that under the cell. So the chemical reaction or the overall chemical reaction can be described as the zinc and then plus 2 molecule of manganese dioxide, and then in the product side we have the zinc oxide and then plus dimanganese trioxide. So these three this overall equation can be broken down into two half cell reaction known as the anode side and the cathode side. So in the part of the anode, we have the oxidation side. So here the zinc are present. So we have the reactant side as the zinc, and then in the product side we have the zinc 2 plus and then plus 2 electron. So essentially, this equation describe the oxidation or the gain or the loss of electron, since the electron are present in the product side as compared to the reactant side. And as well as we have the cathode part or the part of the reaction where the 2 ion of ammonium and then plus 2 molecule of manganese dioxide plus electron are present in the reactant side, and as well as in the product side we have the dimanganese trioxide and then plus water as well as 2 molecule of ammonia. Together, this describe the chemical reaction or balance reaction that undergoes in the part of the cathode. Now there is another chemical reaction that undergoes here when we broken down the part of the 2 gaseous product that the ammonium ion are present or produced. So this part is the 2 molecule of 2 ion of ammonium and then plus electron, dalawa rin. And then in the product side, we have the 2 ammonia molecule and then plus hydrogen. As you can see in this part, the hydrogen are present. And then since this part build up pressure, we need to, or there is a mechanism that implement in order for this to prevent the build up pressure. So this chemical reaction or chemical equation that can prevent the pressure build up can be described as follow. So the first equation that described below is the zinc chloride and then plus 2 molecule of ammonia that yields to diamine zinc 2 and then chloride. So together with the second equation as the 2 mole of manganese 4 and then manganese 4 oxide plus hydrogen gas yields to manganese 3 oxide and water. So these 2 equations that are below are essential for prevent or decrease the fatigue or pressure that are present or can be built up due to the chemical reaction that are undergone in the product or the battery internal system. So since the chemical reaction that undergoes there build up pressure, these 2 equations below are essential in order for them to be prevented. So that's the description of the chemical reaction or the chemistry that undergoes in zinc carbon battery. So, bakit nga ba in-explore natin yung hydrogen power plant? Ba't natin kailangan pang explore yung hydrogen power plant? Ano nga ba yung mga benefits nito? And why does it matter? Bakit nga ba nagmamatter yung mga bagay na to? So, yung hydrogen power plant kasi, essentially in this selection, it can be used as an alternative for fuels. So, alam naman natin na ngayon, nagkakaroon ng mga gera, yung supply ng fuel or yung demands, tumataas yung demand as well as yung supply naman is patuloy na bumababa. And alam naman natin na yung pagpoproduce ng fuel is, it takes process as well as yung mga natural resources kung saan nakukuha yung fuel are limited lang or matagal bago makapag-produce ng ganong klaseng product gaya ng mga fossil fuels and other natural resources. So yung hydrogen power plant kasi, di ba nga kaya niya mag-produce or in some scientific studies or experiment, kaya niya mag-produce ng electricity. And as well as we know that the hydrogen can be a alternative to fuel. So yung per pounds kasi ng hydrogen, pagka kinumpare natin sa per pounds ng conventional fuel, mas angat yung hydrogen in terms of efficiency. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Kasi nga yung per pound ng hydrogen and then yung per pound ng fuel, mas malayo yung tinatakbo ng kotse na gumagamit ng hydrogen compared to fuel. Mas malayo yung nako-cover up niya na distance, then therefore, we can say that the efficiency of hydrogen fuel cell is higher compared to the efficiency of the fuel or combustion-based fuel. And second one, kaya natin in-explore yung hydrogen power plant kasi nga yung combustion or emission level nito is much lower compared to the combustion base. So yung carbon emission na syempre pinaprevent natin sa mga power plants is less pagka inobserve natin sa hydrogen power plant. Kaya naman, mahalaga na ma-explore natin yung part na to and then magawa natin i-implement sa society in order for us to decrease the emission of carbon dioxide. And thirdly, we have the interaction ng hydrogen cell fuel or yung hydrogen sa mga engines sa mismong mechanical capacity or yung interaction nito. Kasi pagka ginamit mo yung hydrogen as a fuel, mas less yung noise. And syempre, pagka less yung noise, ibig sabihin nito, yung mechanical interaction or yung mga patig na nangyayari sa loob ng machine is less. And therefore, mas magiging matagal yung lifespan ng machine or ng mga power plants. And second, sa part na to, yung mga residents na nasa area na yon, once na nagtayo ka kasi ng hydrogen power plant, mas less yung interruption na ma-experience nila compared to other power plants. Ibig sabihin nito kasi nga less noise yung na-produce niya, and then therefore, kaya pa rin mabuhay or mamuhay na mga residente sa mismong power plant na yon in almost a usual way or yung way of living nila as before magkaroon ng mga power plants and bago magkaroon ng mga production site na yun. That's why these hydrogen power plant are explored in order for us to make sense and implement it into a wide scale or large scales. And syempre, di ba, yun naman yung mga minamaximize ng mga company or kung sino man yung gustong implement, magtayo ng power plant. Syempre, dapat less carbon emission, efficiency, much efficiency, or mas mataas yung efficiency. And thirdly, we have the quiet under operation or during operation. So, ibig sabihin, hindi siya makakagambala or makakapag-produce ng interruption sa paligid nito or sa surroundings. Then, therefore, that kind of power plant are sufficient enough or can be maximize the interaction with the community as well as the production level. Kasi nga, di ba, higher efficiency siya and then quiet during operation. And as well as alternative siya sa fuel kasi nga yung fuel nagpo-produce ng carbon dioxide, yung hydrogen power plant, less water lang yung mismong byproducts niya. So therefore, mas efficient or mas maganda kung yun yung gagamitin mo kumpara sa fuel.
Hydrogen power plants and fuel cells are commonly dubbed as the ultimate clean energy. Hydrogen promises zero-emission power. Sounds perfect, right? Pero if it's so clean and efficient, bakit hindi pa rin ito ang main source ng energy natin ngayon? Bakit hindi pa natin ito nakikita sa bawat kalsada o power grid dito sa Pilipinas? Ano-ano nga ba ang 5 major technical hurdles na pumipigil sa technology na ito para maging mainstream? Let's start with the most common method, ang steam methane reforming or SMR. Sa ngayon, almost 95% ng hydrogen worldwide ay kinukuha through this process, basically separating hydrogen from methane. But the problem is, this process is quite expensive, and ironically, it releases a massive amount of greenhouse gases. Kahit sabihin nating clean ang hydrogen sa output nito, ang production process naman nito ay nag-e-emit ng CO2 or carbon dioxide, which contributes heavily to global warming. In the engineering world, we call this gray hydrogen, pero nakaka-cancel out lang din yung environmental benefits na hinahanap natin mula dito. So with that being said, may another method pa ba? Yes, meron. The second method is what we call electrolysis, where we separate hydrogen from water, H2O, using electricity. This is clean, especially if we use renewable energy sources like solar or wind. However, the downside is the cost. Sobrang mahal pa rin ng kuryenteng kailangan para ma-break ang water molecules compared sa energy na makukuha natin dito. More effort and less output nga naman. So for hydrogen to reach its full potential, scientists need to find a way to produce it inexpensively. Hanggat hindi nagiging efficient ang conversion ratio, may hirapan itong maging mainstream source of energy. Third is the material cost. Bakit nga ba mahal ang mga fuel cells? One of the biggest reason is the platinum. Fuel cells use platinum as a catalyst para mapabilis ang chemical reaction sa loob ng system. So this platinum ang nagsisilbing catalyst coating sa electrodes para matrigger ang reaction sa loob nito. As we all know, platinum is even more expensive gold. Dahil ito ang largest component material in terms of cost, nagiging hindrance ito sa mass production. Although researchers are working on non-platinum catalyst approaches tulad ng paggamit ng cobalt o iron, wala pa tayong mainstream alternative sa nakasing stable ng platinum. Usapan natin ang hydrogen storage. Since hydrogen is the lightest element, it has a very low energy density. Ibig sabihin, kailangan mo ng malalaking tanks at extreme pressure para lang makapag-store ng sapat na fuel. This necessitates specialized heavy-duty tanks and fueling lines. Unlike our current gasoline or electrical grids, wala pa tayong widespread infrastructure for hydrogen distribution. It's a major practical disadvantage na kumbaga meron kang magandang technology pero wala namang paglalagyan o paraan para i-deliver ito. Hydrogen leaks. Dahil sa liit ng hydrogen molecules, madali itong tumakas sa mga pipes at valves. Science magazine reported that hydrogen leakage can actually gobble up the ozone layer faster than CFCs do. So technically, the effect of hydrogen leakage is greater than CFCs or what we all know chlorofluorocarbons do in terms of the depletion of the ozone layer. So hindi lang siya safety issue or flammability risk. It's also an environmental concern na kapag nagkaroon ng widespread leaks, baka mas lalo lang nating mapabilis ang damage sa atmosphere. That's why we need top-tier engineering to ensure zero leakage systems bago ito maging safe for public use. Now, let's look at this diagram to understand the system architecture. Makikita nyo rito ang flow ng isang hydrogen fuel cell power plant. Nagsisimula tayo sa tinatawag nating local buffer storage, kung saan ini-store ang H2 at O2 or hydrogen and oxygen. These gases are fed into the hydrogen fuel cells. These are the three stacks in the middle, but actually, we need 1,000 of them to perform better and more efficiently. So inside these cells, a chemical reaction occurs to produce electricity. And take note that its byproduct is warm water, which is released at the bottom. This generates DC power, and for us to use it in a larger scale, it goes through the inverter. This inverter converts the generated DC to AC. Moreover, kagaya ng previous types of power plants, Para maging compatible sa ating local electric grid, we will use the step-up transformer para i-boost ang voltage for long-distance transmission, reducing I-squared-R or power losses sa grid, enabling long-distance power transmission and safe, usable voltage levels for homes and industries. Everything is controlled by a management unit to monitor the pressure, flow, and output efficiency. It's a clean cycle, but as discussed, the challenges lie in making every part of this diagram cost-effective and leak-proof.
The Long Ridge Energy Generation Project. This is a massive 485 megawatts facility located on Ohio River in the US, built on old industrial site. What makes Long Ridge special is that it acts as a bridge to clean energy. Right now, it's not running purely on renewables. Instead, it's burning a fuel blend that includes 5% hydrogen using a highly advanced gas turbine. Providing that a commercial turbine can handle this hydrogen blend is a massive engineering milestone. The ultimate goal for this plant is to transition 100% green hydrogen over the next decade. They plan to do this by using renewable energy to power electrolysis machines, which splits water into hydrogen and oxygen. Long Ridge gives us a practical roadmap for upgrading existing fossil fuel plants into zero-emission facilities. If Long Ridge is about upgrading the old, our next project is about building the new. Let's look at this project by Siemens Energy in French Guiana. This €170 million facility is designed as a baseload solar project. The biggest issue with solar is that it only works when the sun is out, but this plant guarantees steady power 24/7, especially 10 megawatts during the day and the 3 megawatts at the night. To achieve this round-the-clock power, they combined four major systems: 55 megawatts of solar panels to power the grid during the day, a massive battery system to handle short-term energy storage, a 16 megawatts electrolysis machine that uses excess solar power to create green hydrogen right on the site, and finally, a 3 megawatt fuel cell. When the sun goes down, this fuel cell takes that stored hydrogen and converts it back into electricity to power the grid all night. To wrap up, these two projects show us the future of our power grids. Long Ridge show how we can retrofit traditional gas turbines to burn cleaner hydrogen blends, while Siemens provides we can use hydrogen fuel cells to completely solve renewable energy storage. Both prove that hydrogen power is actively keeping the lights on today.